So the current job I'm doing is riveting the hinges in place for the doors of the ammo rack. I start in the middle. The reason I start in the middle, they all have to be in line, because when the hinges are like this, they don't work properly. And yeah, for doing it in the middle, if one side is off by 0.5 millimeter and the other side, it's still only 0.5 millimeter. If you put one on the end and then the next 0.5 millimeter and the next 0.5 millimeter, you already have 1 millimeter. So it's easier to get it close enough in line. So I will do a few now, show you how I do it, and I'll show you the one that is complete. I'll assemble the 3 parts first, and when those parts are assembled, then I can attach them to the ammo rack itself. I'm going to use some earplugs because the hammering is pretty loud. On one side there were still holes from screwing them in place last time, but on the ends it was too far away from the end as per original. I didn't know it exactly at the time because I had to guess from pictures. Now I have the measurements, so I have to move them over. So I will put one in. On this side I have 2 holes, so I'll put 2 rivets in and then I drill the other one. They are a bit long because these size rivets, they didn't have them shorter. So just pinch a bit off. Get the hinge to sit correctly, that it is not on an angle, and then hammer it down. But I only do it partially. Then I have a tube that goes around the rivet to seat the material properly, and then I can hammer more firmly. Later I will grind it a bit flush. So now I still have a chance to move it over a little bit. Because this one already had the 2 holes, I'll do it with 2 holes. But I put one in, then you have a little bit of space to move. But yeah, this should be correct because it was already in place. So now I can drill the new holes. I just found out I made a mistake. When I took these plates off, I marked, put a mark on a V, upside down V, to mark which one is the top one and which one is the middle and the bottom, because at that time they were all the same. But I made a mistake then. There's one difference: the top hinges are up further by about 6 millimeters, 5 to 6 millimeters. So therefore now this one doesn't fold over completely to be attached to the bottom of the ammo rack. And that's not good. The only way to fix it is take them off and put them back on the correct spot. So the reason why they are on the wrong spot, this wasn't the top plate, and so these holes were further down than they should have been for the top plate. So I have to correct that mistake now. There's no other way to do it. I can cut a little bit of metal away here in the back to fold this over, but 5 millimeters for this entire door to sit too high, it still will close. But also the connections with the notches that I made are then 5 millimeters wrong, and that's just too much. So I will fix this off camera, put them, weld the hole shut, put them further up, and redo everything. So yeah, shit happens. So in order to get them out, I will drill a hole in the center. If it's not perfectly in the center, I can drill a bit on the angle. I will not go through now. Need a bigger one. You see that they pop off. And then they all stay in one piece and can be reused. So got it fixed, maybe half an hour, so it's not that bad. These are the top hinges, so they can fold over now 90 degrees. And this is the other side, and it doesn't even get to 45, but yeah, it doesn't need it, so that's not a problem. But on the top I needed that. So yeah, the right thing is just fix it and get it done right. So I'll put this to the side. Next piece. So this is the middle one with the handles. I can put these rivets on, and then I will attach it to the rivets I just have done. So I have this part ready. What I have done at the end, grinding these flush so it looks nice. In the original parts it was very difficult to see the rivet, so yeah, in order to mimic that, make everything as flush as possible. And the reason I'm not installing these on the ammo racks itself yet is I had to order some extra rivets because I forgot the plates that come to the side. Where do I have them? These for the latches to go into. They need to be riveted on as well, but they should be arriving today. So something I can do tomorrow, and then tonight I go to the guy with the brake press to bend some pieces, and then I can start welding on the internal parts as well. I'm always trying to keep the paint off the workbench, not so much to keep it clean, but for welding. If there's a lot of paint on it and you want to weld, you have a bad ground. So these are prepared to put on the ammo racks themselves. As said, I have to wait for the rivets. Probably they can be already in. I have to check. And then I will install these. Then the racks can be painted completely. And I can start bending tonight on the internal parts. Have a few small parts that I bend here, and the bigger parts somewhere else at the brake press. And then yeah, some of the parts, the small parts still have to clean, but that's maybe like 45 minutes of work. The rest are clean, and I have still these blocks hole through and little chamfers. These blocks are only need a hole, but they're already milled. So most parts are ready. There is a spring mechanism inside. You have these levers that fold up when you put the grenade in, but yeah, they can move. And somewhere at the bottom there is something with a spring system, and I have gotten new pictures now. I can see on the side of the back end of the shell how it's done. It's with this part, is a notch milled in, and it turns in a certain way, and then the spring pushes a notch in front of it so that it can't drop down. And for the back part, for the part that's supporting the head of the grenade, it has a similar system. I have some pictures of it. It's less clear than the other ones. I have to find out how that is made, but for the time being I have some rings, but they are spring loaded, spring steel, and instead of they're flat, they're domed. And I'm going to put those in between so that for the time being I can use the rack for putting the shells in, but also the wood parts, they are still, we have still to wait for it. A friend of ours is going to make it, but he's very busy, so I have to wait till he has time. That's probably end of May, beginning of June. So that should be ready for tank fest, but not for milli tracks. So I have started assembling the parts for the internals for the ammo rack. I've test fitted and finished welded too. So this is the back end of the shell. This can move freely, and there's a lip here so that it won't fall down too far. If it needs to be adjusted, it can bend it a little bit up, and there still needs to be wood on it, but that will come later. And here is a notch in, so there needs to be something underneath. I have pictures now, but I have to make drawings of it to see how it works, how big it needs to be. And when you push the back one up, so this is the back of the ammo rack, you put a shell in, you put this one up, and then a spring pushes a notch, a pin forward to lock this in place so it stays upright, and then you can do this and it springs forward further. And this one is where the head of the shell is, so the tip. These also move freely. I have put a few nuts on it to clamp it a little bit, but I have some springs I can put in between, some spring loaded washers, so I will do that. There's a lip here welded on, these two corners are welded, and on the back 3 strengthening ribs. And then of course you have these 2 parts, well, except for the wood, and also this one has something with a spring loaded part, but these ones have a square block with a notch. These ones are round, but this one is on the side instead of on top, and this has a flat bottom, so it could be that this part will be locked with something in place so that it won't fall down. It doesn't need a lot of force to hold it down, it's just a light part. If it stays upright, the shell can't roll out, but of course it also sits in the ammo rack on an angle, so the shells will try to roll down. But of course, yeah, if you drive through a ditch or something, it can happen that it goes the other way. So I already started tack welding the remaining parts together. Still need to clean up these parts. They are the lips that will be in place for pulling it up, and also the strengthening ribs for these. These are 4 parts. The reason I did this to bolt them together so that the bushing is on a 90-degree angle with the bracket, and then I can put the rib in place, and this way the bolts were this long. Instead of bolting them all separately, I just put 4 on one and I can reach every one. So still need to do these parts. So I'm gonna clean all the parts up that I still need to clean. Some ribs. I have the blocks for the big parts. Do that when everything is tack welded. I'll start finish welding. So I'm going to tack weld parts together. I have this bracket with a small lip. This bushing will be welded to it. And then this lip, which is when the levers fall down, they don't fall completely down in front of the shell below it. But that all has to be in a certain distance. Let's find some material. Now I can just put it like this. I don't have to hold it up or down. It should be the correct height. Wherever I can, I will use something to make things easier. Like these parts. The strip is wider than the block, so I put a strip next to it to line everything on one side. It shouldn't be in the middle, it should be aligned on one side. So, and then this I do by eye because it's not really important how well it's aligned. It's in the middle of this block, So yeah, that is easy enough to do by eye. So now this one, this needs to be 3 millimeters lower than this. So I have to check what is best to do. Now it's a lot more. The shim I use here to measure is 3 millimeters, so it's this distance should be 6 to 6.5, and it is now 11.5, so that's 4 millimeters too much. And if I have a piece of 4 millimeters that I can put below, should be okay. Or 2 pieces of 2. Let's see. Just over 7. A little bit too much. Just over 6, so that's good. So all the tack welding is basically the same, just different parts. So we'll do the rest off camera, maybe a little bit with the GoPro for a close-up. And then I will show you some of the finished welding. So as you can see, the shells are in. Well, bottom to one, the one in the back is a empty shell, in the front is a unloaded shell, so no powder, nothing inside. But I had this in place. You can see all the parts from the rack are in place. Well, not everything, because this can still move up and down freely. It needs to be spring loaded, so they will stay upright when you need them to stay upright, and they stay down when you unload them. So that I'll still have to do, plus all the wooden parts still have to go in, and for the rest it's more or less ready. And yeah, maybe some fine tuning at some places. One side, I don't know if it's this one or the other one, I have placed one rack a little bit too far down, so this doesn't go, so yeah, the back one doesn't fit completely, so it needs to go up a little bit, but that's only one hole. Everything needs to be riveted in place, and then the rack is done. But I have made a list of all the jobs still need to be done and it's quite a lot, mainly small jobs. I still need to make a tool rack. We have the original, but it's in bad condition, and we don't want to cut all the bad parts out, because then you are left with maybe 25% of the original. So we want that newly made, and a lot of small brackets to be made, like for the, down here you can't see them now, but the caps for the fuel tanks, all those small jobs, they still need to be done. But by the time this video comes out, it's maybe 1 week, and then the Nashorn leaves for England for Tankfest for 3 months. So we have Tankfest, and then in September you have Tiger Day. Those events the Nashorn will take place in. And if you're interested in merchandise, we're not gonna bring all the merchandise, but if you pre-order, we can bring that, and you can pick it up yourself at the Nashorn, at the static display. So let us know, send us an email to nashornfund@gmail.com. I will put it in the description as well. And for the 3 months that the tank is in Bovington, you can see it in the museum if you have no time to go to either events. But maybe in August, medium of August, we go to Yorkshire. There's another show there, but we're still discussing it, so not for sure, but yeah, we'll let you know online. And in the meantime, all small jobs that we can prepare at home, so make the brackets before installing, we will do that, and of course we'll make videos of that. So yeah, that's the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.